Hola everyone, bienvenidos, welcome. My name is Carla Solorzano. I am the founder and lead planner of Kiss and Say Events, a boutique wedding planning business for the modern and fun Latinx couple. Today on the Wedding Emergency Kit series, we're talking about elopements, and with me is fellow planner, mentor, and friend, Gabby Pinkerton.
Hi Gabby, welcome, bienvenida.
Thank you, gracias.
Gabby, I read your bio at the beginning, but I want to hear from you a little bit more about you and your business.
Oh, yeah. So we are a team now. Actually, I started just by myself in 2012, but we're now a team of 3 lead planners located in Los Angeles, Nashville, which I am now here myself, and in Maine. And we basically do adventurous weddings and elopements, which we'll talk about today. And pre-corona, we did a lot of destination stuff, but obviously we're kind of modifying things a little bit these days. But yeah, we're a wedding planning company team, and we focus exclusively on the adventurous couple. That's really like our bread and butter.
Which I love. Yeah. And while I was reading your bio, I also noticed that you recently did a wedding in South Africa. That's amazing.
Yeah, we're just actually getting the photos back from that one. It was amazing. It's like planning a wedding in a different continent entirely is a whole other ballgame. I mean, we went in, we had no experience, knew nothing really about South Africa. So it was a really collaborative effort with the bride and groom that were from South Africa themselves and us, and obviously like having vendors that are really open to communicating and giving us information is the best resource. So we really do try to select vendors that are easy to talk to because we depend on them a lot for information. But it went really well. It was a lot of fun. And I'm excited to share more photos soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them. Okay, so we are recording this in May 2020, and we are in the middle of COVID-19. We're quarantined, we're home, and some of the things are not happening for us. Was that?
Are we in the middle or are we at the end, at the beginning? Where are we?
I don't know. Yeah, they keep extending it, right? So it's like, when is it going to end? I don't even know. So one of the things that is affecting us as planners and also our couples is that we're not able to do big weddings, right? But there are options out there, like, eloping. So however, it seems to be a lot of confusion, even among us within the industry, with certain terms like elopements, micro weddings, intimate weddings, pop-up weddings, all these terms, right? And they all seem like the same, but they're really not. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, the difference between all those terms?
Yeah, and you're right. To the couples, they see it as all very similar, and I don't blame them because I think a lot of people, unfortunately, do use them interchangeably. So it creates a little bit of confusion. But what I think the true definitions is that an elopement is really just the couple, and of course, someone legally who's able to marry them. Perhaps maybe witnesses on each side if the marriage license requires a witness. But really, let's talk about it with just being the bride and groom, or the groom and groom, bride and bride, and an officiant legally getting married, whether it be courthouse or an adventure elopement, which takes them out into nature, or, I don't know, so, different areas. I mean, it could really rent a venue and just be the two of them. But I think to me, that's a definition of elopement. Whereas a micro wedding, we're looking at least in the community of planners here in LA, I say here in LA, but I'm still very involved in LA planning. We talk about it as 10 or less, and 10 including the couple. So we really are talking about 8 guests. So that to us is a micro wedding. And I will say that pre-corona, we were talking about micro weddings as maybe being a little more flexible in guests. Like some would say maybe 30 or less or 50 or less, but to me, I think we were using it as like 25 or less. We were calling that a micro wedding. But now with the guidelines that are out for wedding, we're really talking about 10 people or less that show up. And A micro wedding typically doesn't have a full reception after. Like it's a ceremony, whether it might be a standing ceremony, depending like if you're in the middle of nature, or it might be a seated ceremony if you're able to find a venue that has chairs. But then it's followed by a cocktail reception, like a champagne reception. So champagne for 10 people, and then a small cake maybe for the 10 people. So very limited, reception style after. And typically we and the group of planners that I'm with on this, we are saying that it's really kind of limited to 2-hour time frame. So I think it's part of it is, yes, the price point is a lot lower for a micro wedding. And in order to respect that lower price point for our vendors, we have to limit the time frame too. So we're happy to offer it at a lower rate, and still allow people to get married with 8 of their closest friends and family. But we do have to be respectful of everybody's time and keep it in that 2-hour time frame. I think there will be some situations where it's like maybe 3 micro weddings scheduled in one day. So there's different time slots. I think what a conversation that came up recently is that we have to think about like health and sanitary procedures now. And so you can't just cycle through clients, you have to maybe have a 2-hour gap in between to sanitize everything down, make sure, CDC or protocols are being followed. So that's one thing that's coming up. And I was going to say, I almost call that pop-up weddings.
Yep.
Where, right? So I think I almost wonder if a micro wedding is what we're going to just define as the guest count. We're just going to say it could be a micro wedding and a pop-up wedding at the same time. So it could be 10 people or less in a pop-up style, which to me is that you have a designated venue, you have the same vendors, and you cycle through a few couples in one day. And I don't want it to sound, because sometimes it could sound like go through a next.
Yeah,
next.
no.
But it's not. It's definitely a better experience, and it's not like the next couple's waiting in the back like that. They can't come in before a certain time, and they get the same great experience as the couple before and the couple after.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would almost call that pop-up wedding, but I very well think that it's also going to be known as micro wedding. It might go both.
Yeah. So it's now that we have the differences of all those a little more clear, I wanted to talk about elopements specifically, because that's something you do a lot. So what are some, if a couple wants to elope, they decide they want to do it that they want to go that route, what are some one of maybe 3 of the most important things you think a couple should consider when planning an elopement?
I'd say the number 1 will be if your location requires permits. So a lot of people think a national park would be a perfect free place to go in and elope. However, there's a lot of restrictions, So one is, yes, you need a permit, an event permit to go in. We do a lot at Joshua Tree National Park. And it's really easy. I mean, there's an application. You select your general area of where you're going to be. You can wander a little bit within that area, but they need to account for the people that are going to be there that day. So you have to pay, it's $125 for the event permit. And then your photographer also needs to pay $125 to use of space for their images type of thing, and they have gear coming in and that kind of stuff. And then also just clearly reading what you can and cannot bring in, because some places like beaches may not allow you to have an arch or chairs. Joshua Tree, which is fun, actually allows you an arch and allows you to bring cake and champagne, which is so fun because a lot of parks, you have to have like a liquor license, but Joshua Tree National Park, you just have to fill out the event permit, pay the fee, and you can bring in your own for that. So I'd say that's my number 1, is checking permit and kind of rules, restrictions about the venue you're choosing. Number two, maybe something that's forgotten a lot is music. We as planners always bring a boombox or a Bluetooth speaker with us, and we ask the client just to send us the name of the song they want to walk down the aisle to. And we download it ahead of time because self-service is something that's not always available when we're doing adventure elopements. So we just make sure to download that song and we play it on our Bluetooth. Whereas some people want the sounds of nature, and I love that too. I think that whether it's a beach wedding with waves or hearing the crickets in the desert or something like that. So thinking of music, what you would like, is something that's often forgotten. And I guess maybe the last thing would be, what do you want to do after the elopement? So because a lot of the time the elopement really is the ceremony and a little bit of champagne, cheers, and cake, most of our clients have organized to stay at an Airbnb, and they'll just have a chef come in and prepare dinner, or they'll just go through takeout, in and out or something, and Airbnb and relax. But maybe just having some type of fun plan for the couple afterwards, or if they're meeting up with a few friends for dinner, then thinking about what that might be.
Love it. Yeah, I love the in and out part. I miss in and out. Okay, so you mentioned then that doing elopements in a national park, and maybe also at the beach. So it depends on their style, right? What they like the best. But I'm sure each location is different, right? If you do it at a Joshua Tree or you do it at the beach, the logistics might be completely different, right? So what are some challenges you think? Tell us in planning that.
Great question. And yes, two different scenarios completely. And both are outdoors, which the element, you're dealing with nature, right? So you're dealing with weather. So if you choose an outdoor setting to begin with, weather is always something to keep in mind. One thing that a lot of people want are the beach elopements, and beach elopements in LA are so hard to do because a lot of the beaches are owned by different departments. So like some are county beaches, public beaches, private beaches. It's so hard to know. Yep. So getting permits for the beach stuff is a little more challenging. We have a couple secret spots that we like to, that we're familiar with, and we know that they allow arches and chairs. So we keep that in our back pocket. But yeah, that is challenging. And also getting to the beach can be an issue. So we have little carts that we bring that we make sure we can roll down a ramp or something like that. But it's definitely something to think about for your guests too. Are they comfortable walking, the distance, all the stairs, or walking through the sand, not wearing stilettos? And then being that a lot of the beaches, I mean, not right now, but they're usually public places, you're going to have people walking behind you, that's in a national park. I mean, people are very respectful for the most part, but they like to stop and watch. Yeah. So thinking of that is like, yes, you're going to be in an open space where a lot of other people might be curious. So you have to be okay with that if you're thinking of a national park or you're thinking of a beach. Yeah. So those can be some challenges, but most of our clients are flexible in that, and they understand. And I think it's our job as planners to set those expectations too, to say, hey, it's not that magical Pinterest photo that you're going to see necessarily. What you don't see in that photo is that 12 people have been photoshopped out of the photo.
Yeah.
Do
you have any suggestions for those couples that were planning a big wedding, 100 people wedding, and then they are like, nope, we want to still get married on our date, and now it's going to be 4 of us. What would be, and I know that causes a lot of stress, now you have to tell them like, yeah, you're not invited anymore. What are some, I don't know, if you can think of any ways that we can help them take that step when informing their guests that they're, moving to another different type of wedding?
Yeah, and that's coming up a lot in like Facebook groups and forums and stuff. People are wondering like, how do we do without hurting our guests' feelings? I think there's kind of almost two ways to go about it, which I'm the kind of rip the Band-Aid off type of person. I would personally just do it, go, elope, get it done, and then share either a video with your guest or invite them kind of to a secret Zoom gathering, maybe saying, hey, you have like, send them a proper invitation and say, you're invited for a very special evening on Zoom, and maybe even send them, I don't know, depending on how many guests, but you could send them a bottle of champagne in the mail. We've been doing that actually a lot recently for birthday parties and special occasions like Mother's Day and Easter. We had gift baskets sent to the families of a certain guest because they wanted them to be part of the celebration, but the actual conversation was happening on Zoom. So then you guys can all watch the video together, and they feel like they were there, but now in the moment, no one can say, I think over Zoom, no one's gonna be like, I can't believe you did that. I think they're just gonna be like, you know what? It's done. Congratulations. Let's have it, you know?
I love that idea. It's
I feel
great.
like, feel like, hey, it's done. You can't do anything about it now.
Right.
And you can't even come yell at us because you're not allowed to come visit us anyway.
Exactly. I love that idea.
Yeah, so that's one way. That's kind of my route that I would go. But then if you're someone who does respectfully want to inform people that you're going a different route, you could send them, I mean, you could either say you're eloping on this day and do a live stream. That's something that some venues are offering. So you could do a live stream. I would definitely put a person in charge of the live stream. Do not try to take that on yourself, because let me tell you, that's another beast. So you could invite them to the ceremony via live stream, but you could also say, you could that and send an invitation later on to say, celebrate our 1-year anniversary with us next year with a big backyard bash. And I know you said you spoke to Claudia from Time with Teresa's and talking about backyard bashes. And I mean, that might be something that comes up more, that these elopements are happening now. The ceremony part is happening now, but there's a follow-up next year. We might, as planners, we might get a lot of inquiries for parties, for post-wedding parties a year after all of this happened. Yeah. So it's hard to know what's going to happen, but that could be two different alternatives.
Yeah, I love them both. They're great ideas.
Let's do both.
Yeah, let's do both. But I do like the first one better. It's like, we just got married. Yeah, that's cool. You offer elopement packages. So why don't you tell us a little about how does that look like? What does it include?
Yeah. So with pending restrictions, because obviously every county, every city, every state is different. So it varies, but let's go with the 10-person or less situation. So what we do is we offer adventure elopements. So we're not necessarily going to do ballroom stuff, but we're going to take you out in nature, typically a national park if it's open, and spaces, maybe a beach. That now that I'm not in LA, we do have a team there, so they'll do the beaches, but I'll do like the Great Smoky Mountains or something in Tennessee. We offer an arch. Usually the most popular are the triangle arches. And again, pending the location, because if the permit does not allow for an arch, we won't do it. But we typically include an arch, a bouquet, and a boutonniere, or 2 bouquets and 2 boutonnieres, depending if it's same sex or not. We bring our boombox, and we provide an officiant as well as a photographer for 2 hours. And we know that not everybody's photography style is the same, so we give them a choice of 3 styles of photography. So kind of more like the light and bright, maybe something super colorful, and then something a little warmer tones. So they get to choose that. And we right now, granted, nothing's happening for us on weekends right now, but we typically offer elopements for Monday through Friday, with Friday as a TBD depending on busy season. So we're open to extending that obviously during this time because we don't have anything planned on weekends. But usually it's something that we offer because we've been offering it for years already. It's stuff that we do Monday through Thursday for the most part.
Perfect. Okay, another question I'm thinking, and we all been talking about this, and things change every day. But what is a trend that you see happening after COVID-19 on like elopements and or your adventurous destination weddings?
Not many destinations.
For now.
For now.
For now.
Ooh, good question. I mean, I definitely feel like there's in the planning world, there's people that have been doing elopements for a while and people that are now getting on board to offer them, because there's a sense of like, yeah, we know everybody is offering elopements, but we don't want to be left behind. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of talk in the industry of, you know, how can we team up as a collective, or how can we pick from our local vendors to come in and offer like a one-stop shop package, which we see a lot of, which is great. And I think venues are getting on board with that, and they're waiving maybe minimums for rentals, so that you can be there for just 2 hours and not have to pay a $10,000 minimum, you know, stuff like that. So people are being in the industry being very flexible. I think when it comes to clients, we're going to see, this is my guess, we're going to see people postpone once, but when it comes time to them having to postpone a second time, people are going to start feeling like, I don't want to fuss over this anymore, unfortunately, and they might resort to doing the elopement with then either doing a party a year from now, or just being like, screw it, we're going to have an online cocktail party and call it a day. So I think we'll see some of that happening. And we might see people just pushing to next year and hoping for the best. We have tons of our clients doing that. They still want the big, especially very cultural, you know, bigger cultural weddings where it is very important for them to have the families present. We're just seeing them push to later next year and just hoping that we can, you know, be okay by then. But gosh, we don't know. We're all just kind of, it's a waiting game. It's just a waiting game.
Yeah, and you're right on the, you know, the couples, those, you know, I deal with a lot of Latinx couples. So, and they're like moving till next year because they still want to have their big party and their family coming from abroad. And, you know, usually they're big families. So they still want to, you know, they're hoping for the best.
Yeah, and I hope they do, because our industry can't survive off of elopements, you know? I think like talking about our livelihood and how we make our money, I think elopements have been really great as right now, because we are all making $0 during this time, that elopements are a great way to maybe get back into it. However, we need large weddings for the industry to survive. So we're encouraging people to push, you know, to next year and still keep their big wedding. But for those that they feel that it's a stressor or that it's causing them anxiety, by all means, please ditch the big wedding idea and follow your heart and just get married. If the date was really important to you and you want to get married on that day, then elope. You know, it's about you guys. It's not really about the guests.
Exactly.
That point, you know?
Yeah, it's about you guys. I love that. Yeah, 100%. Agree with you. Okay, Gabby. So I have 2 more questions, and they're a little more personal. They're personal.
Okay. I'm an open book.
Just for people to get a little bit more information about you on the personal side, right? So what is your favorite food of all times? The very favorite?
This is so boring, but I could eat cheese and crackers for the rest of my life. It's so lame. I mean, you could give me a basic cheddar and I would be so excited.
I don't think it's lame. And if you add a glass of wine, that will make it better.
That's even better. Yes, that's like the perfect combination. And I don't eat meat, like I don't eat red meat, so I don't usually do like charcuterie next to it. I just do all the cheeses. But there is not a cheese I don't like.
Good. Cheese. I like that. Yeah, it's not lame. And how about your favorite cocktail?
I like gin-based cocktails first and foremost. These days, actually in quarantine, I have mastered the Negroni. Have you heard of a Negroni?
Oh, what's that?
So to me, it's almost like an old fashioned, the way it's presented. It's very easy. It's 1 part gin, 1 part Campari, and 1 part vermouth. And with a big chunk, like those big ice cubes, put in an old fashioned, and then a lemon or a lime, not lime, sorry, an orange rind or peel that you just twist and plop in there. Oh, it's good. It like burns you a little bit at first, but then once you get that first sip down, you're like, and you feel classy drinking it too. You're like, oh. And I swear, I think at bars they sell for at least $15 a drink. I mean, LA prices, you know.
Yeah.
But you buy it, you make them at home. I should calculate how much it costs me to make it at home, but I can't imagine it's more than like $3 a drink, if that.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty good. Saving money.
Saving money, yeah. Well, next time we see each other or we actually meet in person, we haven't yet, which is crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll have to try that drink.
Yes, we'll do a cocktail day.
Should have brought our drinks and have a cocktail interview. Boo. Maybe I'm going to start doing that from now on. Yeah.
Do it.
Gabby, where can people find you?
I'm most active on Instagram. It's at Cause We Can Events. That's CAUSEWECAN and the word events with an S. So I'm there. I'm most active on stories, probably because I feel like you can just be yourself on stories and not have to have anything perfect, you know? So I like to goof around on stories. And I show my cocktail making all the time. So I'll make sure to take a look. I'll show you my Negroni.
Oh, I will. Yes. I love it. Yeah, you show a lot of your personal life on Instagram, which I love. That's how I feel like I've known you for so long, right? So it's great to connect that way. It's a great way to connect. Yeah, and I'll put your handle on the video so people can find you easily. And on the notes, I'll also link to your website there. If people want more information about you.
Thank you, Carla.
No, thank you, Gabby. This was great. I think it was very informative. Thank you so much for your time, Gabby. I love talking to you and hope to see you soon.
Yes, ma'am. With a cocktail.
Go with a cocktail, please. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye, Carla.
Gracias for tuning in. If this information was valuable for you, make sure to like and comment below. And of course, subscribe. See you next week. Bye.